Through all the shields, healing, abilities, and ultimates, there is one thing that is true throughout every single rank in Overwatch. You click more heads, you win more games. At Overwatch's core, it's still a shooter, and as such, I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks to instantly improve how many heads you click so that you can start climbing straight to GM and set yourself up as a better FPS player for any game you want to play going forward. All that being said, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Now, the first thing that you need to make sure that you have, if you want to take Overwatch seriously, if you want to make sure that you give yourself the best chance to actually click more heads and have more value with hit scans or any character in general, you need to have the proper hardware. For PC users specifically, you should have a 144 Hz monitor or better and try to get as close to 144 FPS or higher as you possibly can. This means turning all your settings down. Even Overwatch League pros have almost every single graphical setting set to low. You do not need to have a super crisp looking game if you can't click any heads. It's not going to really affect your gameplay. It's not going to make you a god overnight, keep that in mind, but it's going to make improving a lot easier. It's going to make the game feel cleaner. It's going to be better for your development. The second thing that you need is a gaming mouse. You need to be able to set your DPI and know exactly what it is. This allows you to set your DPI, multiply that by your sensitivity, find your eDPI. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it's really important that you have a gaming mouse. It's going to set yourself up. Please do not get a random Walmart mouse or a mouse that you found in your basement. Get a gaming mouse. And then the last thing about specifically PC users is you need to disable mouse acceleration. It's something that you have to disable in your computer settings, but essentially mouse acceleration is not what you want to do. You want a direct correlation between how you move and how your mouse moves every single time and not be changed depending on how fast you move. Disable mouse acceleration. Go search up how to do it. It's extremely easy, but a lot of people never disable this and it really just messes them up forever. Like, it's insanely hard to aim if you have mouse acceleration on. And then before we move on, talking about console players, you are capped at 60 FPS, so you don't really need a 144 Hz whatever. You could just play on whatever TV as long as it's comfortable to look at and you're comfortable with it. And you also want to make sure that you have a high quality, nice controller, comfortable chair, good headset, things that are not going to weigh you down and help you play for longer, be more relaxed. That's going to definitely help you with consistency, which is an extremely important point that I'm going to get to later on in the video. That being said, if you want more tips and tricks on how to improve mechanically, definitely go check out the GameLeap.com mechanical section. It's extremely stacked and you're definitely going to learn a lot. Now, moving on to the second thing that a lot of people get wrong and it's preventing you from clicking a lot of heads really is you're not picking the right sensitivity. For controller players, you need a sensitivity that is closer to maxed out than not. By default, controller sensitivity is far too low. You need to be able to execute 180s. You need to be able to move and flick where you need to. I know it's going to take some getting used to, but a lot of times having a really low sensitivity on control is just going to hold you back. You need to err on the side of a much higher sensitivity. And for PC, the opposite is actually true. A lot of players in general, when they first start playing on PC, they have way too high in-game sense. They have way too high eDPI, which is your sense multiplied by your DPI. It's extremely, extremely high, where most Overwatch League players, especially hit scan players, have very low sensitivity relative, and most of them are arm aimers. This gives you more control over your tracking and flicking. So let me give you this example. Most hit scan players in the Overwatch League play between 3,200 and 4,800 eDPI. So this would be the difference in two senses, both at 800 DPI, one with a sense of 4 and one with a sense of 6 in game. So you can kind of understand where that comes from. A lot of Overwatch League players play at 800 at 5. Some of them play at 800 at 4.6. I think Sinatra plays at 806. So you really kind of understand that this is kind of the ballpark that people go for, a little bit above, a little bit below, but a lot of times they don't really stray too far from this, especially if they're hit scan players. That being said, for reference, I played at 800 at 4.5 for the longest time, but I recently swapped to 800 at 5. I wanted a more balanced sensitivity for playing something like Kree and playing something like Doom. If all else fails, go do the PSA method for sensitivity. Go search it up. It's a really long process and I can't really break it down here, but it's really important to find your perfect sensitivity, because this is not to say that you can't have a higher sense. I know tons of players in the tier 3 circuit, players that are extremely cracked out of their mind. They have insane crit potential. They pop off on ladder. They're 4.4 plus peaks. They're insane players, and they have a really high sense, and they're hit scan players. The thing is, preference plays a huge role in all this. If your preference is really high sensitivity, definitely go for it. But if you have no idea what you should be running, start off with low sensitivity first if you're trying to play hit scan. I would definitely suggest it, and then adjust for preference. You could try doing the PSA method, or you could just adjust by yourself and try try to figure it out. Tanks and supports in general that don't require mechanical aim, things like Monkey, things like Grind, things like Mora, they can have a much higher sense if you desire, and it can even be beneficial because you can 180 really fast, you can move sporadically, and also characters that don't require you to aim in the same way that really benefit from being able to flick and 180 really fast. Think Genji and Doom. These characters typically have much higher sense in the Overwatch League and in a lot of pro play, but that doesn't mean you always have to follow this rule. There's a lot of people that play these characters with extremely low sense as well. So definitely feel out your own preference and pick the sensitivity that's going to set you up to succeed. Now, moving on to the third thing that's going to help you start clicking more heads instantly is aim trainers. And recently, my overall opinion on aim trainers changed. I used to think that they were really not that useful at all for a lot of factors such as pressure in game and things like that. And they're not the best thing in the world for actually improving, but they are good for a lot of different things that I'm going to break down. I recently said that I changed my sensitivity, and this helped me transition to my new sense very, very quickly. Even though I had over 2 years of muscle memory built up, this helped me break that down in the course of a couple weeks. Really, it really did. Because I use Kovac Aim Trainer, and they have practice ranges for tracking bots. They have pressure practices where things come at you and fly at your face. You have to flick practices, all these different things that really help you apply your mechanical skills and muscle memory into practical environment. And it really helped me adjust to a new sensitivity, especially when you're trying to figure out the perfect sensitivity. I would definitely suggest using aim trainers. And it's also a great way to warm up each and every day. If you're gonna play, you can warm up incredibly fast with aim trainers as opposed to anything else. Just running like 2 to 6 minutes in an aim trainer can get you like pepped up, ready to play a day of Overwatch. And then after aim trainers, what you could do is you could set up even aim trainers in Overwatch. There's a lot of different codes for aim trainers in Overwatch where you can actually do something like an aim trainer, but you're up against an Overwatch character model that can get you a little bit more used to hitboxes and things like that. But keep in mind, you're not really getting the pressure nor the movement of enemies, but I'm going to get to that in a second, something you could do to actually overcome that. And moving on to the fourth thing that you need to start doing to give yourself an easier time to click heads is understand the fundamentals behind aiming and why they're important. Positioning fundamentals in general that can make aiming way easier from you that even pros implement across the board from CS to Overwatch to any game going forward. Crosshair placement. If your crosshair is aimed at a corner you think people are going to peek from, you have to flick far less. It makes flicks far easier on you. If you have to flick across the whole screen, those are insanely hard to perform. But if you have to flick just a little inch, like a centimeter across your screen, it's way, way easier. That's why crosshair placement is so important. Line of sight. Peeking an enemy only when you want to shoot at them, not peeking an enemy when you're reloading or when you can help it. Playing that LOS is extremely important to allow you to actually get more value when you are aiming at people and when you are shooting at people. And then the last thing is effective range, something that you should learn right off the bat. What is the effective range of your character? If you're playing McCree against the Widowmaker and you're really far away, it might take you 4, 5, 6, 7 body shots to kill her, and it only takes her 1 headshot and 2 body shots to kill you. You're not playing in your effective range. You shouldn't even be in her LOS. These are things that go across the board. And then you can also do the flip side where if you're a Widowmaker, you want to be playing really far away from your enemy. You want to be using your grapple to distance yourself from enemies like McCree's that are trying to push up on you because you want to be playing in your effective range and away from his. These things are important to learn because even if you have really good mechanical skill, you're not going to be clicking any heads if you're getting farmed because you're setting yourself up for poor matchups because you have poor fundamentals with crosshair placement, line of sight, and effective range. Now moving on to number 5, how you could start improving and clicking more heads right now. This goes off and echoes the aim trainers example, but it's TRYHARD free-for-all. And TRYHARD free-for-all is my go-to for actually improving aim. Now, aim trainer can help you with muscle memory and can help you warm up and things like that, but I don't really think it goes that far in improving your aim in specifically Overwatch. The thing with aim trainers is they don't really prepare you for matchups and to play around matchups and to play around movement and to play around pressure and all these different things. Playing around enemies' abilities and how they're gonna move, how they're gonna bobble, hitting your shots when you're gonna die and you're under pressure, all these things that you need to learn, and playing TRYHARD free-for-all is just the best to learn all these things. You have to play around Genji's Reflect, you have to play around getting 2-tapped by a McCree, you have to play around a Widow that can kill you right off the bat, or Tracer moving and blinking all around you. You have to play around all these things, and they really help prepare you for actual in-game scenarios and how to apply your aim in-game scenarios. It's very important because against bots, the thing is, there's zero reason for you to move around against bots. Your own movement also matters, and movement's really powerful for you to learn and really powerful for you to use, and how you aim while you're moving is really important for you to learn. But if you're playing against bots and you're just standing still and you're just shooting at bots, you're never gonna learn how to aim while you're moving, and it's just gonna going to set you up for kind of failure as far as improvements concerned. But TRYHARD Free-For-All kind of fixes all those problems while still setting you up in a controlled environment. The two things that you should do though in TRYHARD Free-For-All to make sure that you improve the fastest rate is you need to make sure that you don't go for the risk-free shots. I would suggest trying to push the bounds of what you can accomplish. Try to go for crits, try to use as little resources as possible to kill each person so that you can chain one kill into the next. You know, 2-tap the enemy McCree, still have your flashbang so that you can kill the Tracer that pushes you, and then also put a little bit of stakes on TRYHARD Free-For-All. Actually care a little bit about whether or not you win or lose, and try to win each and every game. Don't be satisfied with just being 5th or 6th or whatever. Try to win every single game and do everything you can to win. This will put a little bit more emphasis on, I have to get these kills, I have to perform, and it will help you take TRYHARD Free-For-All a little bit more seriously, and it will help you improve and think about what you can do to win each and every matchup. Now moving on to number 6, the 6th thing that will help you improve really rapidly mechanically is try to specialize in heroes that share the mechanical aim style that you want to master, and then you can branch off from there, but really specialize in a select number of heroes. So for example, some characters are really better at tracking, some characters are better at flicking, so tracking characters like Soldier and Tracer, flicking characters like McCree and Widow, but they all have their differences as well as their similarities. Understand how mobility and range play into that, and how certain characters are very difficult to play and get good at if you're trying to learn every single hero. For example, Widowmaker. Widowmaker is the character that you have to play tons of hours into if you want to catch up to some of the best Widowmakers in the game. If you don't put that much time into Widowmaker, if you're splitting your difference between 6 or 7 different characters, you're just not getting used to enough scenarios. You're not learning how to deal with that Tracer that's diving you. You're not learning the muscle memory to flick a Genji that's right behind you, or deal with the McCree while he's rolling in. These are things that you want to learn, and if you kind of hyper focus your hero pool, you're going to click more heads. You want to play here in all environments so that you get used to playing against each and every scenario that you come across. Now moving on to number 7, after you figured out your perfect sense, or you picked a sense that you think is correct, you need to stick with it for a long time because it will help you build up that muscle memory. Try not to switch your sense every single week after you find a sense that you kind of like. It's going to take a while to get perfect with a sense, but don't just try to play hopscotch with senses. If you change your sense like 7 times, you're just messing up your muscle memory. And then on top of that, make sure you play the same sense in every single game. If you're playing Fortnite on the weekends, don't worry, we won't judge you that much. Or if you're playing CS or whatever, try to match your sense across the board because this will allow you to build up that muscle memory. I can't tell you how many people in Fortnite will have like 2 or 3 times the sensitivity because it helps them build. But if you do that, you're really messing up the actual aim aspect and the muscle memory aspect of Overwatch. You're really going to be hurting yourself overall. So really keep that in mind. I would suggest matching your sensitivity. Go find sensitivity converters and match your sensitivity across each and every game. Now moving on to tip number 8, so that you can start clicking more heads and improving your mechanical skills as a player. This is going to be a really profound concept to a lot of you, and I know that a lot of you are going to be really surprised by this, but in order to improve your aim, you need to play the game. Yeah, that's right. You need to play the game. You need to play Overwatch. I know it sucks to play the game, but that's what it takes to improve. Being able to put yourself in the game and in the game environments to hit your shots with all the pressure against enemies that want to dodge you and do damage to you, with stakes on the table, that is one of the best ways you can improve. If you do not feel comfortable enough playing characters on your main that you want to practice with mechanical aim, I would definitely suggest grabbing an ult, maybe playing only hit scan, or maybe only playing a character that you really want to mechanically prove on with your aim, or a select few number of characters. This is the best way to actually improve yourself, not only your aim, but just as a player in general, but realize it does take time. All these other factors are to set you up for success though. If you do all these other things first, it will make playing the game far more satisfying and playing the game far less frustrating, as opposed to just playing it day in and day out and feel like you're not improving at all. Making sure all these other factors in order will allow your actual in-game practice time to feel much more successful as far as improving you. Moving on to tip number 9, you need to build up consistency. Now, you need to consistently play, of course. That's what you should do. Try to play at least a little bit every day, but that's not really what I'm talking about here. You need to keep every single factor about your aim consistent. How far you're away from your monitor? Where's your mouse located when you start practicing or playing? Is it in the middle of your mouse pad? Is it on the right? Is it on the left? How far is your chair from your desk? How's your body posture? Making sure you can find your ready position, which is consistent distances from every single thing. Everything is exactly the way it is each and every time you start playing. That's what Shroud does. That's what many Overwatch League players do. Finding that consistency will allow you to bring that same level of consistency to your game. You don't want any outside of the game factors to get in the way of you being able to replicate your aim each and every time. And if you're hitting all your shots one day, but then the next day you're missing all of them, maybe you don't have this right. Maybe you're sitting way too slouched, or you're too far away from your computer, or your mouse is not set up in the right location. I think you really get the point here, but it's really important to have your ready position on lock. Now moving on to the 10th and final thing that will help you start to click more heads. This is going to be a controversial one, but I know that you probably don't do this enough and it's going to help you improve. You need to have proper lighting. Stop playing in the dark. Stop playing with your bright-ass monitor in your dark room where your eyes are squinting to see your TV or your computer and your eyes are really all strained. Make sure that you eat right. Make sure you exercise and get good rest. I know, telling gamers to eat right, have a healthy diet, good rest. But here's the thing. This is a problem that's coming up along a lot of Overwatch League pros, and that's why a lot of these pro teams are having dietitians and their players are exercising, getting good night's sleep and all that stuff. And it's also a part of why game life balance is so important. Because if you put all this strain on your body and your body is tired and you're not healthy and you're not focused, you're not going to be able to build up that consistency that we talked about before. You're not going to be able to perform and improve and play. You need to have all these things in order. And if you want to play the best Overwatch you possibly could play and improve very well, you want proper lighting, good rest, healthy diet. Make sure you exercise at least a little bit, maybe while you're waiting for your long ass DPS queues. Try to do a couple push-ups maybe or some jumping jacks, get the blood flowing. This will all help you in the long run, not only just in Overwatch, but every game going forward. If you're hitting a rut, it might be because you're just not taking care of yourself well enough. At the end of the day, you are one of the same tools, just like the mouse, just like the monitor, just like the controller. You're a tool to perform. And if you don't treat yourself right and keep yourself to a high enough standard, you're just not going to be able to perform consistently and you're not going to rank up. I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. You want to click more heads, you want to pop up, definitely start taking care of yourself. And if you want to up your game, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. GameLeap.com is stacked to the brim with hit scan Grandmaster VOD reviews that will show you exactly what you need to do to have high impact in each and every game. Do yourself a favor and go check it out. You will not regret it. Anyways, that's all I have for you today. Any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you want any videos made, I can definitely get right on it, but you gotta tell me. That's all I have for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time,